Alrighty, good morning and welcome. So we are making overnight oats. If you notice, this is a voiceover because this is my first video and I had no idea what I was saying when I was recording it. So I'm going to talk over myself. In any case, this is an overnight oats video. I'm just showing how I make it. Everyone makes it a little bit different, and that's kind of the joy of it. I think it's really fun to look at how I can incorporate more nutrition into this dish. So I'm going to show you how I do it, and then you can jazz it up or change things as you wish. Now, I think what I'm talking about here is using my coffee scale versus my regular kitchen scale. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. This is the normal one that I use. So I normally use that, and I normally reserve my black one that you see me using for coffee. The reason why I'm using that is because my coffee scale has a timer. So I wanted to show how quick this can be. Now, it didn't end up being that quick, as you can see by the length of this video, but it was helpful to to just show, how quickly a breakfast like this can come together. Alrighty, okay, and I've laid out everything so you can see some of the different items I'm using. I'll add a list of what I was using down below, but I'll walk you through what I'm doing. I'm also using a jar, and I'll explain a little bit why later, that I love using jars instead of mixing it in a bowl or some other device, right? I'm also using a funnel because I hate mess. I hate when you pour something, even though it's a wide mouth jar, things don't happen right. But remember I said that because spoilers. Anyway, I'm using 60 grams of oats. I'm using 5 grams of chia seeds and 5 grams of flax seeds. And the flax seeds are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're all chopped up. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway. So the great thing about using a mix of seeds here, and of course you can just use 10 grams of one or the other seed. It doesn't really matter. I really like chia seeds because it adds bulk and volume. They kind of soak up all of the liquids and kind of add, more volume, as I said. The flax seeds add a lot of flavor that I really enjoy, especially for kind of a fall themed oats situation. So I'm putting all of that in there. And I think I also mentioned that there's really no need to measure. I just do it because I like to have a consistent, if you measure it out with a recipe like this, that, if you add too much liquid or too little liquid, it might change the texture a bit. So for me, I like knowing, hey, every day it's going to be exactly how I like it. I also use a coffee scale, right, to measure out my coffee. So if that's not your personality, there's no need to do that, okay? I will add freedom unit measurements down below if you just like using cups and volume measurements as opposed to weight measurements like the rest of the world. Anyway, so this is a product called textured pea protein. You might be more familiar with textured vegetable protein, which is a soy-based protein. I have absolutely no problem with soy. It's just, for me, textured pea protein, it's a one ingredient type of thing, just like textured vegetable protein, except the macros are a little bit different. What do I mean by macros? I mean the macronutrient ratios a little bit more for what I need, right? Which is a little bit more protein as opposed to carbohydrates. Textured vegetable protein is a great source of protein, but it also comes with extra carbohydrates. It's not a problem. This is not a carbohydrate bashing channel. But I'm already getting plenty of what I need from the oats and throughout the day. So for this, I'm using my textured pea protein. It also has a very neutral flavor. There's not much going on there. And here I'm giving you a close-up of the macros where I've said exactly what I just said. The other thing that's in there, in that little bowl that I'm holding, is some dark chocolate chips. It's not all nutrition. It's just sometimes you need a little bit of sugar to let the medicine go down. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. There's no dairy in that dark chocolate chips. So that's something that's suitable for me and my preferences. Again, not necessary. You could add raisins. You could add whatever it is that you want. Just a little something to, to make you enjoy it a little bit more, right? It's also not needed. With the combination of everything that I have going on that you'll soon see, it's not really something that you need. But I like it. So it's in my overnight oats. Alrighty, and at some point I'm gonna stop talking and pour this stuff into the jar. I think I've just mentioned a little bit of the chocolate chips again. Here we go. And then I'm using some sweetener. This one is Truvia. It is not sponsored. Clearly, it's my first video. This is some stevia, no calorie, non-nutritive sweetener type of situation. You don't really need that. I just had it on hand and I wanted to show you different things that you can do with yours. I'm using this protein powder, which actually does have some sweetener in it. Also some, non-nutritive sweetener or 0 calorie, whatever sweetener. I believe it's monk fruit that's in this one. Here are the macros of this. I'm not using the full serving. I'm using a little bit less than half actually, because I'm also getting a good amount of protein from the textured pea protein. Right? In total, if you're wondering, before I give it up at the end, in total, you're going to have about 33 grams of protein in this meal. So with the different combinations of proteins, which is always a good thing, right? You want to, especially if you are on a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, etc., you want to make sure that you're getting your protein from multiple high-quality sources. And so that's just one quick way of doing that in the morning without even thinking about it is using different types of proteins in your overnight oats. Again, not necessary, especially if you're not concerned with that. But all of these different components are giving me a little bit of a boost here, right? So this is also adding some bulk. It's also adding some flavor. I'm using the vanilla flavor. I've kind of created a mess here. It gets worse. Anyway, so here I'm adding some cardamom, vanilla, cardamom. I mean, is there a better flavor profile for breakfast? I don't know. I used a whole lot. It's not necessary to use that much. It was a flick of the wrist situation. Anyway, we have some pumpkin spice because it is October and you must use that. It's basically an unwritten law. If you're not familiar with it, there's no excuse. You literally have to use that at some point in the fall, and that's what I'm doing. Here I'm showing another flavoring option that you can use. I don't use it here because the protein powder has enough vanilla for me, but you can add that, or if you decide to just use the textured pea protein or textured vegetable protein or whatever, or if you're not using any of that and you're just going full oats, that's another way that you can add flavor to it. Okay, and I'm also using creatine. Now, creatine, you don't need it. This is just me being a bro, and I am on a muscle building journey. It also has a lot of cognitive benefits that they're, kind of recently discovering and talking about more. So that's great. If you want to use it, do that. It adds no flavor. It adds no, it's just a way to get the medicine in, you know what I'm saying? So, if you're using kind of things like that, this is a great way to put it in instead of putting it in your coffee or, just drinking an extra cup of water with it. It's a quick and easy way to get that in. Okay. And now what I'm doing here is struggling to open my almond milk. It's a great opportunity for me to tell you that you can use any kind of milk that you want. Almond milk is really convenient just because it is lower on the calorie end. You can use soy milk, which is a great source of protein. You can also use, they do have a pea protein. I'm forgetting the brand name at the moment, but that exists. You can use there's a plethora of milks these days. You can just use whatever you need. I ended up using, actually, before I talk more about that, what I'm doing here is I'm shaking it. This is why I use a jar, because you can shake it, get everything incorporated and mixed through so that you're basically just helping yourself in the long run by not having a situation where you have clumps. Don't open it like that. Like, don't do that. Do as I say, not as I do. Just showing you all the different things that can happen. But essentially, it's a great thing to be able to mix it and not have clumps and all of that sort of stuff go on. So I like using a jar with a lid. Here I am pouring in 1 cup of almond milk. That is 240-ish grams, something around that. Again, it's not that serious, especially with almond milk. I mean, it's like, it's so low in calories, it really does not matter at all. If that is something that is concerning you, if you're on a fat loss journey or something like that. And I'm shaking it. I am shaking it, right? And I cannot stand mixing with a spoon. I don't know why, but it's just so much easier to do it like that. Now, the oats, the seeds, the protein powder even is all going to soak up all of that, right? So even within an hour, you're not going to be able to shake it like that, right? It's going to be so thick and creamy and lovely and luscious and delicious. This is actually something that, it's called overnight oats, right? So you do this the night before typically, but you can do it an hour or two before, and it's totally suitable to eat at that point, depending on your needs and how much of a preparer you are. I typically make 4 or 5 of them even, and keep them in the fridge, and they go just fine. And this is the finished product, and you can see it's creamy. This is the consistency that I like, right? And that's another reason why I like to go by weight measurements, because then I can predict every day that this is the consistency that I'm going to have. I'm not going to have a day where I open it up and it's, really soupy, or it's really thick and it needs more, right? Now, if you would like it a little bit looser, you can add some water or additional milk if you'd like, and then just mix it up with your spoon as you're eating it, or you can, add that in from before. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, the great thing is, so a little bit of backstory here. I reuse my jar lids, and I think that one was from a lima beans, dried lima beans that I had. So that's why that says that there. And that little bit of mess is really annoying me. But, this is real cooking. This is what we do in our homes. I'm not a polished YouTuber as yet. So, you can be here and grow with me as I learn how to do all this stuff. In any case, I think at this point, IRL, I'm explaining the nutrient profile of the meal that we just created. It's 500 calories. I think I mentioned also that it was 33 grams of protein. It's a little bit under 60 grams of carbohydrates. There's about 12 grams of fiber. Fiber is wonderful. We all know that. But by adding some different items like the textured pea protein and the protein powder, it allowed us to add more bulk without adding more carbohydrates and more fiber, which sometimes can irritate some folks, right? And also, if you are eating a lot of plant foods, throughout the day, you really don't need a huge fiber bomb in the morning like that, right? So it's good that you're kind of mixing it up and still, at the end of the day, being able to have a substantial meal, right? So that's great. This is also a meal that's very low in saturated fat. For my folks who are worried about their cholesterol, this is perfect for you for that reason. It also has about 6 grams of poly and monounsaturated fats, right? So that's good for our heart health and all this other stuff. I won't go too much into it because I am not a medical professional. Please look that up. Anyway, that's my take on protein overnight oats. How do you make yours? What are the differences? What are you taking away from this? Let me know, and have a great day. Enjoy.